Testing the audio. Committee, can you hear us in the chamber? Testing the audio. Committee, can you hear us in the chamber? Testing the audio. Committee, can you hear us in the chamber? Okay, we've got it back there. Can somebody speak to us? We want to see if we can hear you now. No, we can't. We can't hear you yet. We're still working on it, but we've got the problem almost reconciled. Thanks for your patience. Hi, Sherry. Can you try again, please?
Yeah. Hi.
Excellent. Now we can hear you. We'll be ready to go very soon. Thanks for your patience.
Very good. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. We are now online and ready to start.
Okay, thank you. Good evening. Tonight's Committee of Adjustment hearing is being held by video conference and live streaming video on the town's live stream webpage at oakville.ca. This is a hearing to consider applications for minor variance and consents held under the authority of the Planning Act. Please keep in mind the intent of this process is to review the application that is before the committee, listen to the evidence, and then make a decision. This process is not intended to be used to resolve any concerns or disputes that may exist between the town, individuals, or organizations. If a request for a deferral is made and the committee grants such a request, the applicant or authorized agent must contact the Secretary-Treasurer to schedule a new hearing date. In order to conduct an effective and efficient electronic hearing, we have adopted the following process. If you are watching the live stream of this hearing on oakville.ca and if you wish to speak to an item on this agenda, you can call 905-815-6095. Again, the number is 905-815-6095. The phone number is also posted on the screen at the live stream page at oakville.ca. Staff will be standing by to take your call, and when you call in, staff will ask for your name, item number you wish to address, and telephone number. Further instructions will be provided for you to call back to join the video conference. When the chair of the committee polls for interested parties, you'll have to press *6 to unmute yourself. The applicant or agent will be given the opportunity to briefly explain to the committee the basis of the application and answer any questions that may arise. A maximum of 5 minutes will be provided for a presentation. If you need, you will need to state your name and address for the record, and any submissions beyond the 5 minutes will be at the discretion of the committee. All delegations must also state their full name and address for the record, and maximum of 5 minutes will be provided for each presentation. All remarks and questions are to be directed to the chair. Any submissions beyond the 5 minutes will be at the discretion of the committee. The applicant or agent will then be provided with a further 5 minutes to respond to comments made by interested parties, answer any questions from the committee members, and if the applicant or agent has concerns found in staff report, particularly with the proposed conditions, this will be the opportunity to advise us. The matter will then be taken into committee for a decision, and this will mark the end of all discussions. Any person desiring a notice of decision for an application must provide a written request, preferably through email to the Secretary-Treasurer. Written notice of the committee's decision will be mailed no later than 10 days for minor variance and 15 days for consent application to the applicant, agent, and any other person who has filed a written request for such notice. The last day to appeal the decision to the Ontario Land Tribunal will be noted on the decision. Please note that only the applicant, specified persons, or public bodies may apply or appeal to the committee's decision to the Ontario Land Tribunal. In November 2022, Bill 23 legislation, the More Homes Built Faster Act, amended the Planning Act to remove appeal rights for members of the public. If no appeal is prescribed within the prescribed time frame, the decision of the committee becomes final and binding, and the Treasury and the the Secretary Treasurer will then notify the applicant and anyone who has received a copy of the decision through written correspondence. We ask that people participating in this hearing are to be courteous to and respectful to the members of the committee, town staff, and any other person participating in this electronic hearing. Tonight's electronic hearing is being video recorded and available for future viewing at oakville.ca. Thank you. Okay, so the first matter on our agenda. Let's see. We have no regrets this evening. Have any declarations of peculiar interests? I see none. Thank you. Okay, Madam Secretary Treasurer, I'll now take anyone who has requested a deferral this evening. Anyone in attendance who wishes to defer their application or withdraw their application, please put your hand up and the Secretary Treasurer will invite you in to speak.
Yes, Madam Chair, I will move one of the agents in that has their hand up. One moment.
Thank you.
Hello, Madam
Hi,
Chair.
good evening. Which application are you here for?
I'm here for 631 Trudale. The application number is A/059/2025.
Perfect.
I'm here to appeal deferral for the application.
Okay, and the reason for the deferral?
I saw the comments from the staff member, and we would like to discuss and resolve the comments and objections.
Okay, very well. Members, all those in support of a deferral? Okay, the application has been deferred, none opposed. You'll see the Secretary Treasurer at your earliest convenience for the next hearing date.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Have a good night. Anyone else, Madam Secretary Treasurer?
Madam Chair, I have a request myself for deferral for application A0572025, which is at 339 Pine Grove Road, due to insufficient notification. We had an issue with our notification tool and notices were sent out to a different section of that road. Therefore, proper notice was not given in accordance with the Planning Act regulations.
Okay.
I'd also
and is that the town's the town's fault or the
Yes,
person's fault?
that is our error, yes. So I would also
Okay.
like to request that the deferral fee be waived in this case.
Very well. Okay. So who is the agent here for this application? Are they present in the meeting?
Yes, they are.
Okay. So if you'd like to invite them in just so that they are notified, or do they have prior notice of this?
They do have prior notice, but I also move them in.
Okay, very well. Ms. Al-Kassab?
Yes.
Okay, so this is just to let you know that there is a motion to defer your application because of insufficient notice. You will see the Secretary Treasurer for the next available hearing date, and we are going to waive the administration fee.
Yes.
All those in support of the deferral? Okay. The application has been deferred, none opposed. Thank you for your attendance.
Thank you.
Okay, have a good night.
You too. Thank you.
Okay, anyone else, Madam Secretary Treasurer?
No, Madam Chair, I don't see any more hands up. Very
well. If there's no one else who's seeking to defer an application, we'll take the first matter into on our agenda, and that's application A049 of 2025 at 379 Allen Street. Again, that's application A049 of 2025 at 379 Allen Street, and I have Emily Villa as the agent. Go ahead, Ms. Villa.
Yes, good evening, Madam Chair and members of the committee. My name is Emily Villa, and I'm from the Office of Office of Wilmot and Strickland at 594 Tribal Road in Oakville. And I'm here on behalf of Ms. Heather Taylor, who's the owner of 379 Allen Street. Thank you. Thank you very much for the presentation there. If you could just scroll briefly towards the end, just to show the elevations. And then if we can go back to the first page afterwards, please. If you just keep going down to the end, please. All right, thank you. If you can go to back to page 1. Our client approaches with a wish to replace the existing detached garage, single-car garage, with a new one that's attached to a new rear addition, and it's to create a modest mudroom and powder room and an ensuite on the second floor. And you can see that we're showing it highlighted in orange. And they also wanted to enjoy a covered porch in the back. The additions amount to a new total lot coverage of 25%, which exceeds the maximum lot coverage of 19%. And the new northerly side yard setback of 0.71 meters to the attached garage wall is less than 1.8 meters. And those are the 2 minor variances we are seeking. The impact of the additional 77.31 meter square lot coverage is mitigated by designing 3 distinct structures: a garage on one side, a covered porch on the other, and a 2-story addition in between. The distinct volumes assist in breaking up the massing and preventing dominance over the existing 1.5-story dwelling. As well, the addition is not visible from the street, and therefore it proposes to maintain this existing streetscape. And that's what you see on page 3 and 4. If you could quickly go back to those pages, please. There's the rendering. And then you can see the full elevation right there. Thank you. And there will be very little impact to the immediate neighbors on either side. The new attached garage is proposed on the same location as the existing garage, and it's with a proposed side yard setback that is greater than the existing one right now, which is 0.66 meters. And the new larger garage floor area is within the floor area bylaw maximum. And if you could go back to page 1, please. I'm sorry, we're jumping all around here, but I wanted to give the clear view. The rear face of the proposed 1-story mudroom and the covered porch is generally in line with the southerly neighbor's rear wall, as you can see that on the right-hand side of the site plan. And so that allows the neighbors to still maintain the privacy of their backyard amenities. The additions are well below the maximum residential floor area, and it's within the maximum building height. We read the planning's comments, and we agree with staff opinion that the proposed addition does not make the existing dwelling appear larger and the surrounding dwellings. And we note that the neighborhood is home to a variety of housing stock, both new and original, and some having lot coverages of greater than 19%. And therefore, we believe that the requested variances are minor in nature and they meet the 4 tests of the Planning Act. Ms. Taylor has met with her immediate neighbors to the north and the south and the west, and she's also tried her neighbors at the rear, but they have not been available. But she's let me know that her neighbors were enthusiastically supportive. So this concludes my presentation, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Villa.
Thank you.
Any questions from the committee members to Ms. Villa? Okay. Very well. If there are no questions, no one has called with any interest for this application, Madam Secretary Treasurer.
No, Madam Chair, there have been no calls.
Okay, thank you. Then we'll take the matter into committee. Who would like to move a motion? Go ahead, Mr. Hardcastle.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Having undertaken my site visit, having reviewed the materials, including the written staff report, having heard the presentation, I'm satisfied that the requested variances conform to the four tests of the Act. Finding that the proposed addition will have minimal to no impact upon adjacent properties and is consistent with the character of the area. Accordingly, I'll put forward a motion of approval, subject to two conditions, those being that the dwelling be constructed in general accordance with the submitted site plan and elevation drawings dated March 27th, 2025, and that the approval will expire within 2 years of the date of the decision if a permit has not been issued. Would note that there were no members of the public present with respect to this matter.
Thank you, Mr. Hardcastle. Is there discussion on this recommendation? I see none. All those in support? Okay, the application has been approved. None opposed.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good evening. Application A055 of 2025 at 401 Ash Road. Again, it's application 055 of 2025 at 401 Ash Road. I've got Vivek Gupta as the agent, or Mike Wharton, who's here representing this application.
Hi, this is Vivek Gupta. I am the agent on behalf of the owner.
Okay, very well. Do you have a presentation?
Yes.
Okay, here it comes then. Go ahead.
This is not ours. This is not ours.
401 Ash Road, correct?
Yes, 401 Ash Road, yes.
Madam Chair, this is the one that Mr. Wharton
Yes,
sent
that's
in.
right. This is the house. I can see it from the side. Yeah, you're right. So you see the existing structure. I think this picture is giving me some idea here that the building permit we are applying for and the committee of adjustment we are applying for, there is a small balcony we can see which is existing with the house. This is the same structure we are planning to use as a sunroom below, and we are planning to use as a sunroom above. It is just for an idea to the committee members. This is the balcony which we are planning to cover up with the glass walls all around and a roof. This is the existing backyard. It's going to remain same. We are not changing any footprints in this area. This area also, we are not changing any footprints, except we are just covering this deck with the walls and a roof to give us a sunroom accommodation kind of. So
one of the pictures below seems like you've already started enclosing below. I see glass and panels. So have you already started this?
that was the one which owner started, and then he was notified he need a building permit, and then we started building permit process, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, we can zoom out if you're done your presentation to give the members a chance to ask you questions themselves.
Yes.
Okay. Members, do you have any questions for Mr. Gupta at this time? Go ahead, Mr. Dickey.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just want to understand, make sure I had this right. What you're building on top of a projection from the back that lies, according to my reading of the site plan, about 11.9 meters from the side yard, the flankage yard onto that other street. I think it's called Amber. Do I have that correct? About 11.9 meters?
Yes, sir, that is correct, but we are not changing the building footprint.
Oh, yeah, I realize that. Yeah. I just wanted to confirm that I have that correct. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. That's all I just wanted to confirm. Thank you.
Any other questions or items of clarification? Go ahead, Mr. Talowski.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm trying to have a question of staff. A little confused about the objection on this. You raised concerns about, so this is an existing structure for all intents and purposes. They're going to put windows on the ground floor and put a roof on the existing deck. Staff raised concerns about the building extending beyond the rear yard of the back of the house of the neighboring building, yet the previous application on Allen Street, we had an addition that extended beyond the rear of the adjacent building on the one side. Staff had no concern with that. And we have an existing deck situation, and in the middle of the house, as Mr. Dickey said, significantly removed from the Ambler flankage. I'm failing to see the rationale in the staff report, so hopefully you can help me with this, because I see this very much as an existing situation that's having a roof and some windows added to it. I don't see how it's going to contribute to overlook, particularly where the location of this is in the center of the lot.
We can always clarify this with
Sorry,
the
sir, that question was for staff, not for you.
I'm sorry, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Through you, Madam Chair, staff does not have concern with the first floor sunroom, but we do raise concern with the second floor sunroom, as we believe that it may contribute to undesirable overlook and privacy conditions on the abutting property, and also potentially impact the massing and scale as viewed from Amber Crescent. The design guidelines for stable residential communities do specifically state that new development should not include second-story decks and balconies, which may create an undesirable overlook condition onto adjacent properties. Although this is not a deck or a balcony, we do have concern that the sunroom could exacerbate the overlook and privacy conditions, as this space would be more heavily used all year round. So that is the reasoning for the objection.
So in my view, the variance has to cause the impact. And as you just said, the balcony is existing. So it's an existing situation. I can stand on that balcony today. What's the difference between standing there in the open air versus standing there looking through a window? What is the additional impact that staff see?
The additional impact was mainly related to the more regular use of this space, being that it is a sunroom. It can be utilized all year round rather than just during the seasonal times. And that would exacerbate the existing impacts of that balcony that is existing. I will also note that the balcony is legally non-conforming. So it is permitted in the zero suffix zone, but this is a zero suffix zone of which we would not typically permit such structure.
Thank you.
Any other questions or items of clarification? Okay, I see none. Has anyone called with interest for this application, Madam Secretary Treasurer?
No, Madam Chair, there have been no calls.
Very well. Mr. Wharton, you had your hand up? Yeah, okay, you have something to add? We can't hear you, so you have to unmute yourself or...
Okay, how's that?
That's fine. Go ahead.
Okay. Okay. Yes. I'm the person that took those pictures that were submitted in the original document you had up, and I don't know, is it possible for you to bring up picture number 8 for me, please? I don't know if what, okay, there we go. Yeah. Down to number 8. We can show, there we go. As for view of like the gentleman said earlier, that is an existing deck that you can stand out there any time of the year. That is the view with the trees with no leaves or anything. They're not even in full bloom yet. There's very little view of the neighbor's property. They're blocked by trees all the way around. The idea behind those pictures was to show that the view from the balcony or the view of the balcony is quite limited due to the large trees that are around. It's very well hidden, and the majority of, or at least half of it, is back behind the corner of the brick wall. So it's not even out in front of the rear line of the home. So that's the point I wanted to bring forward, is that it's not visible, or the view is broken by trees all the way around. And if you go back to picture number 7, you can see that I believe it's 7, maybe it's 6. You keep going back through there. And that's the only other house that is adjacent to this property. And once again, it's blocked by a garden shed, and it's blocked by a lot of trees. And that is the side of the neighbor's home that has very little to no windows in it in the first place. So that's the point I would like to bring up. And thank you very much for listening. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Any questions before we take the matter into committee? Okay, I see none. Who would like to move a motion? Go ahead, Mr. Talowski.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, I'm going to take a contrary view to the staff position on this file. I believe this is largely an existing situation, and I don't believe that the variances being requested are going to cause the impacts that staff have identified. I find it does meet the tests of the Planning Act. I would note that there was no objection from the neighbors. So, Madam Chair, I'm going to move that this application be approved as applied for, and that the approval would be subject to 2 conditions: that development proceed in general accordance with the site plan dated March 14th, 2025, elevations dated March 3rd, 2025, and that the approval expires within 2 years if the permit hasn't been issued.
Very well. Thank you, Mr. Talowski. Is there discussion on this recommendation? Go ahead, Mr. Hardcastle.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll just take a brief moment to indicate that I am thinking likewise to Mr. Talowski. The existing condition is not exacerbated, and the minor variances are not directly related to any impact. So I'll support the motion on the floor.
Very well. Any further comments? See none. All those in support? Okay. Your application has been approved. None opposed.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
Have a good evening.
Good evening, ma'am.
Application 056 of 2025 at 580 4th line. Again, that's application 056 of 2025 at 580 4th line. And I have Alex Blanchard as the agent.
Hi, Madam Chairman. It's David Carruthers.
Okay, go ahead, Mr. Carruthers.
Good evening, Madam Chairman and members of the committee. My name is David Carruthers from Carruthers and Associates of 505 York Boulevard in Hamilton, Ontario. I'm here as the agent on behalf of the owners to ask for approval under subsection 45 of the Planning Act for the 4 variances as outlined in the consolidated report. I've read through the planning staff report, which includes the following. Planning staff's no objection to the development, no objections from the region and outside various agencies. And I've also read development engineering's condition that a site alteration permit will be required if approved. As part of our application, I provided a justification report as well, outlining our rationale behind the minor variance requests, and I'll just touch on them as follows. Number one, the variance is minor in nature. The minor variances requested here this evening will help facilitate a new custom home project that is consistent and compatible with the transforming existing community built form character. The majority of the development was carefully designed to stay within the parameters of the zoning bylaw, but these 4 variances are required due to house design and, in our opinion, are minor in nature from what is allowed. There are no combinations of any other variances that will result in the overbuilding on the subject property to the detriment of the community. 2, the variances, are they desirable for the appropriate use of the land? It is my opinion that the proposal will maintain the compatibility with the surrounding area and will facilitate the additional garage space and window wells on the property without creating any excessive massing impacts. It is my opinion that the proposed minor variances have been designed to be complementary and will provide an appropriate development that is desirable with the subject lands. Number 3, do the variances meet the intent of the official plan? The subject's property is designated low-density residential of the livable Oakville official plan. The intent of the low-density residential is to facilitate a range of permitted low-density housing types, that including single detached dwellings. Our dwelling has been designed to be complementary with recent and existing forms in the neighborhood, including similar features providing a high quality character design. Given this, the proposal will provide a built form massing that we believe will integrate and be with the established neighborhood and its transitioning character. And finally, number 4, do the variances meet the 4 tests and intent of the zoning bylaw? And number variance 1 and 2, the window wells with a maximum width of 2.13 shall encroach into a side yard of 0.49, and a window well with a maximum width of 2.74 shall encroach into a side yard of 0.59 meters. Now, these numerical values of 1.8 versus the 2.13 and 2.74 and its encroachment into the side yard, we believe are a minor departure from what the general intent and purpose of the bylaw. These requested encroachments with the window wells are due to design and will allow for deeper and wider windows with allowing natural light into the lower level. As planning staff mentioned, they will not have an adverse impact on the lot grading, and there's still adequate space available for access. Variance 3, the minimum width stacked parking space of 2.4 where 3.0 is required. And so the requested parking space variance of 2.54 versus 3 will facilitate the owner to install a car lift inside the 3rd parking space. And the reason for this parking space reduction is due to there's an actual structural post inside the parking space, the 3rd space. So they're taking the dimensions from the outside of the parking space to the actual column. And so the column is inside that parking space. So we're asking for a reduction for that 3rd space. The other 2 do meet the intent of the bylaw. And finally, variance 4, the garage area of 78.05 square meters, where a maximum of 45 meters squared is required. And the zoning intent of regulating the garage area to a 45 square meters is to prevent the garage from becoming a visually dominating features of the dwelling's facade. In our case, there are still only 2 garage doors from the street, and the 3rd space is in tandem. So there's no impact on the driveway width or the streetscape along 4th line. The additional space will be, as I mentioned, for a car lift and interior storage. It is my opinion, in conclusion, it is my opinion that the requested variances satisfy the 4 texts of of Section 45(1) of the Planning Act. They are minor in nature and appropriate for the development and use of the lands. And they maintain the general intent of the OP and zoning bylaw. Thank you very much, and I'm open to any questions that you may have.
Very well, thank you, Mr. Crothers. Are there any questions, items of clarification? Okay, I see none. Has anyone called with interest for this application, Madam Secretary Treasurer?
No, Madam Chair, there have been no calls.
Okay, thank you. We'll take the matter into committee. Who would like to move a motion? Go ahead, Ms. Price. Thank you.
Taking into consideration the agent's presentation, the owner's report, a staff report, as well as my site visit, I believe and there's been no objections by neighbors. I believe the 4 tests have been met, and therefore the variance can be considered minor in nature. I recommend the owner's application be approved, subject to the following conditions. First, that the dwelling be built in a general accordance with the submitted site plan dated May 22nd, 2024, and the elevation drawings be dated May 11th, 2025. Number 2, that the approval expires 2 years from the date of the decision if the building permit has not been issued for the proposed construction.
Okay. Sorry. You said site plan May 22nd and elevation drawings March 11th.
Yes.
Okay. Is there a discussion on this recommendation? I see none. All those in support? Okay, the application has been approved. None opposed. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you. You as well.
Okay, anyone with interest to speak to one of the items on our agenda this evening, please call 905-815-6095. Again, the number is 905-815-6095. Application 061 of 2025 at 149 Lakeshore Road East. Again, that's application 061 of 2025 at 149 Lakeshore Road East. I have Mr. Hicks here as the agent.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I am here if you can hear me.
Yes, go ahead, Mr. Hicks.
Thank you. I had a PowerPoint that was on there. If we can put it up, if we make a fairly brief presentation. So hopefully it's there.
Oh, they'll get it.
That's it there. So it's a fairly simple application. This is an existing building on Lakeshore. It's occupied by the Works where the restaurant is. It's a existing 4-story building. My client has actually purchased most of this block, and we're doing a restoration of most of those storefronts, other than the one that's in the middle here by Oliver's. So it's a fairly interesting project. But this particular one, if you stop on that one, this is the building that's on the right side of that. Savello's store is in here, which is a heritage building. This falls within the Heritage District, but we're doing some renovations to the exterior of it. But the intent of this application is to, you go to the next plan, which is the floor plans, I believe. Oops. We'll keep going back. Seems like they disappeared. Not quite sure what happened. It was in the thing when I said it before, but anyway, it's fairly simple to explain. So right now in the building, it's commercial on the ground floor. The second floor originally had 2 apartments on it. The 3rd and 4th floor have 4 apartments on them right now. The existing 2nd floor, which had 2 apartments, was converted into office space at one point about 8 years ago. It's been sitting vacant for the last couple of years. The owner wishes to put in 3 residential units within that space. Reviewed this with planning, and the 3 residential units require, there's a small addition on the side, but there's a recess in the side of the building. I apologize for what happened with the rest of the plans there. but they're not particularly relevant. The variance that we're seeking is that these 3 units, which provide some required affordable housing within the downtown core, require by bylaw, each unit requires 1 parking space. There are no parking spaces for any of the uses within this building. The 4 units that are on the upper floors have no parking spaces. Most of the tenants that abide in those spaces don't have cars. They use public transport because these units are roughly 500 or 600 square feet in space. And we're proposing the 3 new units on the 2nd floor with no additional parking provided on site. Planning doesn't seem to have any objections to it. None of our neighbors have expressed any objections to it. We would provide parking if that was an opportunity, but given there was 2 units there, we're really only seeking to add 1 additional unit and to subdivide that space and create some new housing on that existing empty 2nd floor. That's the nature of the variance that we are requesting. If there was 2 units there, actually, interestingly enough, they would have required 4 parking spaces. So smaller spaces only require 3, but we can provide 0 because we are built lot line to lot line, front and back. So, and there is a public parking space or parking lot behind it, but you're not allowed to park in there at night. But through the day, you can park there. So, with that, Madam Chairman, I'll leave it open for any discussions. Planning seems to be in support. There's no neighbors that are objecting to it, so happy to answer any questions.
Well, any questions for Mr. Hicks? Okay, see none. And no one has called with interest for this application?
No, Madam Chair, no calls.
Very well, we'll take the matter into committee. Who would like to move a motion? Go ahead, Mr. Dickey.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Based on my review of the owner's application, plans provided, my site visit, together with the presentation by the owner's consultant and the planning staff's report, I am satisfied that the variances are minor in nature and conform to the 4 tests under the Planning Act. And I put forth a motion that the application as applied for be approved, subject to the condition that
there's only 1 condition.
Okay, yes, sorry. The condition that the approval expires 2 years from the date of the decision if the building permit has not been issued for the proposed construction.
Very well. Is there a discussion on this recommendation? I see none. All those in support? Okay. And the application has been approved. None opposed.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members. I think I'm on the next one as well. So,
yes, you can hang tight.
Yep.
All right. So, application A062 of 2025 at 137 Dorney Road. Again, it's 062 2025 137 Dorney Road. Go ahead, Mr. Hicks.
Thank you. If we can bring up the PowerPoint for this one. That's not it, but that's it right there. Thank you. An interesting application. We'll have a bit more of a discussion on this one, I'm sure, but we are seeking 1 variance. It's to build a new house on Dorney Road. We are seeking an increase in the floor area to lot ratio from 29% to 31.77%, which is less than 10% of an increase. We have some specific things that we'll discuss about that. If I can go to the site plan, which is that one there. Oh. So the site plan, we're replacing the existing house. We're actually less width than the existing house, which is a bungalow. We have maintained the front yard setback. We've actually provided larger than required side yards. We meet all the height requirements, the coverage requirements, depth requirements, landscape requirements, etc. But what's of interest is that when we designed this, there's an existing driveway that's on this side of the property, if you can see my cursor, and we wanted to keep that driveway there because there's some substantial trees through here. It's one of the reasons that we've located the site the way we have. But if I can go to the aerial shot, which I believe is the next slide. I just wanted to talk, if we can shrink that down just to pick up the area. So just talk a little bit about the neighborhood. So it's a neighborhood that's in transition. Even Planning's report acknowledges that it is an area that's in transition. There are a number of mixed varieties and styles of houses, one-story bungalows, two-story houses, 1.5-story houses. There are at least in the 3 blocks between the one that's off to the right and the one that's down below, there are at least 6 new houses under construction, all of which are 2-story houses. I think the concern has, and there's quite a mix of style and height. There are some bungalows still left on here, but there's also a number of 1.5-story houses or side split houses. On this particular one of interest, the house that's to the south of it is for sale, and the house that's just up the street is for sale. And I think even Planning acknowledges in their report that as the bungalows are being torn down, that new 2-story houses are being built. So if I go back to the front elevation, which is the first piece. So what we've done specifically, as I say, we've tried, and this doesn't show the trees that are in front because you literally can't see much of the house through the understory of the trees, but we've kept the garage to the right side. There is a 1-story, there's a pool on the houses to the south of this property. Wanted to respect that, make sure there was no overshadowing. What this doesn't show, unfortunately, which I'll show later, is the house that's to the north side. So we've articulated the facade. We've tried to comply with some of the urban design or all of the urban design guidelines and the infill guidelines, but I think of particular concern is the expression that Planning has come back with, that we are not meeting one of the design guidelines with respect to appropriate character and with respect to transition and heights between the spaces. So just for the committee's information, we did go out and did a walk around in the neighborhood, spoke to 7 neighbors. There are 2 letters of support or non-opposition in the file. We did speak to all 8 properties are on Dorney Drive. The house that's to the north has no objections. The house that's across the street to the west has no objections. The house that's behind this is under construction, so it's pretty much a vacant lot right now. It has a 2-story house going up on it. So, but I was somewhat surprised by Planning's comments. If I move forward further in my presentation, where I show one of the exterior photographs, 1 more or 2 more, I guess, right there. So that's the house that's to the north, and Planning has expressed a lack of consideration to the scale of the houses to the north. And I guess my concern is, number one, it was described as a 1-story house. It's clearly not a 1-story house. It's a side split, but the majority of the side split is above the ground. And in fact, the site, as you can see, rises up from here. And if you see the roof line of our adjacent house, the roof line of the 1-story bungalow is actually underneath here. So I don't think our 2-story is going to be more than 2 or 3 feet above the eave of that house because of the grade change that happens on the lot. But the more concern I was that it was described as a 1-story house, and it's clearly not a 1-story house. In fact, I don't think there's any transition issues in terms of the scale of what we're proposing with this adjacent house. And the house and this house, like all others, and even Planning is suggesting this, will definitely be torn down. It's the value of properties in the area is such that it'd be a 1 in 100 chance that someone would keep this lot. So it'll be replaced with a 2-story house. So I guess I'm questioning the need to provide a transition, which I think we already have, but to transition to what's definitely going to be a 2-story house in the future. So it's sort of, we're frozen in a moment in time, and I'm not sure it's relevant, but I believe we've provided enough articulation in the facade that we do provide that. We've got a 1-story section of the house, which is on the other side, and that's because the garage is there, and that's because we don't want to take down any trees. So in terms of its compatibility with the neighborhood, I think we're fully compatible with it. We're fully compatible with what's happening in the neighborhoods, and even Planning is suggesting that is what's happening. It has no impact on privacy, sunlight, overviews, etc. I believe architecturally it's an excellent house, and certainly the neighbors in the the people in the neighborhood have described it as one that they look forward to seeing, and they love the look and feel of it. So I think bottom line, I believe that we meet the 4 tests. There is only one variance on here. It's a minor variance. If we, in our elevation, we actually permitted by the bylaw to build a full 2-story house across there if we were asking for a variance. And I know because we're asking for a variance, we flip over to the design guidelines and the infill design guidelines. But I've used these design guidelines many times, and I believe we fully comply with them. So I disagree with planning's response to this. So sometimes I would have said, let's defer to discuss with it, but I think it's been inappropriately represented in the report as a 1-story house that's adjacent to it, and it's clearly not a 1-story house. With that, members, I think it complies with the 4 tests. I hope that you see some agreement with that. I don't think it's an inappropriate house. It's certainly compatible with the character of the neighborhood, which is in transition. I think it's a beautifully detailed house, and it does have enough articulation that it does break down the mass and scale of the house from the front. The additional square footage is really the space that's at the back. So, because we've only got half of the frontage of the house that is 2 stories. So with that, I'll leave it open to questions from the members. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions or items of clarification for Mr. Hicks or planning? Okay, go ahead, Mr. Talowski.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Hicks, you've waded into my favorite philosophical question about compatibility.
Right.
When we're looking at compatibility, what do you believe is the appropriate way to look at it? Based on what sits on the ground at this given time, or what the current zoning bylaw permits on that same piece of property?
I can't say it's one or the other. I have to look at both of them, but I would look at it in terms of what the zoning permits on the property, and knowing that it's an area in transition, which I deal with all the time. That house will not be there, so it seems odd to try and respond to what is a 1.5 or 1 2/3 story house beside it, and then have it come down, and then all of a sudden we're the odd one in the neighborhood that responded to something that doesn't actually exist. But in terms of compatibility, to me, it's always, can it coexist with what else is in the neighborhood? It's not so much, is it the same as? Is it the same height as? Is it the same materials as? Is it appropriate within their neighborhood? And if I look at the overall context of that neighborhood, what we're proposing is entirely compatible with that neighborhood, like 100%. I won't give an inch on that one. I just totally believe that it's compatible with the neighborhood. And that's how I define compatibility, especially, I mean, if it was in a heritage district or something else where it's been sitting there and there's no changes happening in the neighborhood, I'd probably looking at more what you said first, in terms of looking at what's on the ground beside me. How do I respond to that? Well, what's on the ground beside me right now is this item that's stuck in a time lapse right now that isn't going to be there, I'm going to guess, within 1, 2, or 3 years. So I believe it's fully compatible, and that's why I was surprised by planning's comments, actually. So
thank you.
Mr. Dickey, you had your hand up as well.
Thank you, Madam Chair. To the agent, usually or often we look at the houses. I'm looking at the front facade of the house.
Yes. Yep.
Often there's criticism about when the front entrance has high pillars that go 2-story, and when there's 2-story windows that are 2-story in height. And I'm looking at this house, and I know it's not like a grand room at the front, but there's windows that appear to be 2-story in height and give that vertical appearance that possibly makes the building look tall. So I'm wondering about that, and maybe I'm asking you for your comments. Correct me, give me some things to say yes or no to.
Whatever. No, I can comment on it. So it's a discussion I'm still having with the client. I mean, we show the panels between the 2 windows as they look like glass in the rendering, but they are solid panels. So there is a definition of the floor that's there. But it was intentional. But within the the context of the overall house, it doesn't exceed the allowable heights within the neighborhood. There's a number of other houses being built. And even this is, you get stuck with some current trends and what clients want and what they want and what I might want, but I can't dictate 100% of that. But it was intentional in this, but it wasn't intentional to make it look higher because we specifically used hip roofs on the top of it to try and reduce the height of it. So the two-story wall isn't any higher than what's permitted by bylaw. The treatment of the windows is perhaps my interpretation of what's appropriate for it. The clients were quite excited about it. The neighbors quite love it. Is there different solutions? I could divide those windows so there's a separate window on the upper floor and a separate window on the lower floor. It would make the house a little more banal, in my opinion, and not very interesting. And I don't think that's my role as an architect to try and do that. So I don't think it creates a verticality to the house that's disruptive to the neighborhood, I guess, to try and answer where I think maybe some of your questions were. And when you see it in real life, you'll recognize there are two floors and there are divisions between the windows. But I agree, the houses that have giant Corinthian columns that are 2 stories high with massive windows in the front, I don't think this does this. It has a canopy that projects out. So there are enough elements that it's articulated appropriately that I believe it's, again, appropriate to the character of the neighborhood, and I don't think it looks out of place in the neighborhood. So,
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, has anyone called with interest for this application, Madam Secretary Treasurer?
No, Madam Chair, there have been no calls.
Okay, very well. Who would like to move a motion? Okay, go ahead, Mr. Tusk.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm not going to be staff's biggest fan tonight. Madam Chair, I'm going to move this application be approved as applied for. I find it meets the 4 tests of Planning Act. I don't see that the variance being requested is going to cause an impact here. I believe the design of this house is sensitive. It does not present a full 2-story box the way we see on many occasions. I tend to agree with Mr. Hicks' interpretation that compatibility needs to also consider what's permitted, not just what's on the property next door, immediately adjacent. And this house is, I believe, largely compatible with the other new houses, if not better designed than some of the newer houses in the neighborhood. And I'd note that there was no objections from the public on this application. I would therefore move the application be approved as applied for. Finding it meets the test of the Planning Act, I'd make that approval subject to 2 conditions: that development occur in general accordance with the site plan dated January 29th, 2025, and there's no date on the elevation drawings, so can make that conditional as well on the elevations as submitted with the application.
Okay. And your second condition?
Sorry, and that the approval expire within 2 years if the permit hasn't issued.
Okay, very well. Is there a discussion on this on this recommendation? Mr. Mr. Hardcastle.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have some reservations with respect to this proposal. I believe that context and sensitivity to context of existing built form is an important element. I think that the key piece in the staff report was not necessarily about the ability to or the accommodation of 2 stories in the area, but the way that the vertical mass of the building was accommodated in terms of its sensitivity relative to the adjacent property. I don't believe that that's been addressed sensitively. And I think that there is room to accommodate without significant compromise in the program or design. So I will not be supporting the motion on the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Hardcastle, for your comment. Any other comments or discussion? Okay, I see none. All those in support? Okay. All those opposed? Okay, so this motion fails. Mr. Hardcastle, do you want to move the next motion?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd be satisfied with putting forward a motion. Having reviewed the materials, including the written staff report, having heard the presentation and undertaken my site visit, I believe that the requested variance does not conform to the 4 tests of the Act. There will be impacts upon the adjacent property and a failure to conform with official plan requirements. Accordingly, I'll put forward a motion to refuse the application.
Okay. All those in support of the application being denied? Okay. All those opposed? Okay, the application is denied.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for your consideration, members committee.
Have a good evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Take care.
Okay. Application 063 of 2025 at 414 Reynolds Street. Again, it's application 063 of 2025 at 414 Reynolds Street. And again, it's Miss Emily Vea. Go ahead, Ms. Vea.
Yes, thank you. For the record, my name is Emily Vea from the Office of Wilmot and Strickland, and I'm here on behalf of Ms. Kristen Jones, who's the owner of 414 Reynolds Street. Thank you. We are proposing a 2-story rear addition with an attached garage with a living space above, a covered porch in the rear yard, and a covered overhang over the new side entrance. And the total proposed maximum floor area ratio is 45.56%, which exceeds the maximum lot coverage of 43% permitted in this zone. And that is the minor variance that we are seeking. Excuse me. And in order to reduce the impact on the neighborhood, we incorporated many points. The proposed additions incorporate features that blend well with the existing dwelling to help reduce the overall scale and massing impacts. The design is articulated by using varied materials and differentiated heights to break down the massing. I think if you go to page, the elevation to the rear, please, or even any of the elevations, you can see that there are varied materials. And the roof line is lowered on the proposed addition. And we've kept the new lot coverage below the maximum, and the new building is within the minimum setbacks. And it's in keeping with the prevalent architectural style of the neighborhood. In keeping with the architectural style of the neighborhood, we stepped back the garage from the main facade. And in this case, it's approximately 6.93 meters stepped back. And lastly, I wanted to bring to your attention that the porch and a portion of the ground floor addition, they're founded on helical piles, and it's to minimize the excavation impact towards the large private tree. Just directly, if you're looking at the page 1 of the site plan, it's just to the top there, you can see. And so we believe that we successfully integrated the new addition without negative impact on adjacent properties of the surrounding area. In other words, we believe that we've met the 4 tests of the Planning Act. I've read through the staff report, and planning has no objection to the proposal. And we are pleased that our clients reached out to 13 neighbors within the 60-meter radius. And you can see on the last page, I've prepared a markup of the notice map. You can go that, please. Yes, thank you. And as you can see, all were supportive of the addition, the ones that were reached. And our neighbor, the neighbors, I should say, have been supportive in many ways. They had sent our clients by text, by messages, and emails, and some were submitted letters of support that you have before you. And that concludes my presentation. Thank you, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Vea. Any questions or items of clarifications at this time? Sorry, I need to pan out to see them. Any questions? Okay, I see none. No one has called with interest for this application, Madam Secretary Treasurer?
No, Madam Chair, no calls.
Thank you. And I will note that there are letters of support from Paul and Erica Mann, Ray Chisholm, and Shirley O'Quinn. All right, I'd like to move a motion. Go ahead, Ms. Bryce.
Taking into consideration my site visit, the owner's report, the agent's presentation, and the town staff's report, as well as the letters of support from neighbors, I believe the 4 tests have been met and therefore the variance can be considered minor in nature. I recommend the owner's application be approved subject to the following conditions. Number 1, that the addition to the be constructed in general accordance with submitted site plan and elevation drawings dated March 14th, 2025, and that the approval expires 2 years from the date of the decision if a building permit has not been issued for the proposed construction.
Very well, thank you. Is there a discussion on this recommendation? I see none. All those in support? Okay, the application has been approved, none opposed.
Thank you. Good night.
Have a good evening. Okay. Application 099 deferred from June the 26th of 2024 at 26 Holly Road Avenue. Again, that's application 099 of 2024 deferred from June 26, 2024 at 26 Holyrood Avenue. And the agent is Mr. Jason Heather. Okay, go ahead, Mr. Heather.
Good evening, Madam Chairman, committee members. Thank you all for your time. I do have a quick little presentation. So this was an application that was brought forth. We're coming up on almost a year. There has been, in that year, there has been significant back and forth with myself and planning staff to put forward a new proposal that brought a two-car garage onto what is the main floor of the dwelling and eliminated a large ramp structure that took you down to a subterranean garage level. That also in turn eliminated a bunch of driveway and hardscaping that was in the front of the home. And you'll see in planning staff comments that they are in support of the application now. It's taken a little while to get us there, but I think we're quite happy with where we've ended up. So 7 variances. We have reduced the overall number. There were 8 in the original application. We're down to 7. Of the 7 variances, 4 of them are related to the fact that the dwelling is classified by bylaw and the definition of the first story as a 3-story dwelling. So the lot slopes significantly and fairly quickly from the street down to the lake level, of course, naturally, as does the neighboring house to the west and the park block. So that grade differential creates a situation where our average grade is greater than 1.8 meters from the ceiling of the lowest level. Thus, the lowest level, or basement in this instance, is actually the first story. So variance is number 7 for floor area above the second story, number 6, number of stories, the GFA variance, and the garage area variance all originate from the fact that we have to classify this as a 3-story dwelling. If I can go to page number 4 just quickly, it's a site. Yeah, that's the one right there. So again, lakefront lot, bordered by a house on the west. There is an interesting little water creek feature that provides overland flow. There is a large conservation setback on the west side of the property, a 5-meter requirement. That's why the property is shifted towards the park. But again, that park and the large retaining wall in the park next to the path provide a great buffer to that park block. It's heavily treed along that side of the property as well, so provides great natural screening for the site. If I can go to the next slide, the variance for the garage projection, there's a green line on the front right-hand side there. This is all below grade, so this is in the front yard of the home beneath the driveway and the front entry walkway. The variance, again, because the first story of the house is the basement in actuality, the garage projection is that green line on the right-hand side, so we're seeking 8.83. This also shows the additional garage area. So on the main floor of the home, there's a standard 2-car garage that complies with 45 square meters. It does provide a lift down to this subterranean garage level. So again, completely beneath all landscaping, not visible from the street or from the northern park block. If I can go to the next slide, please. That's the one. There you go. No, back one. There we are. Again, the purple area is the subterranean garage structure. So again, below grade, on grade parking is provided on the top portion to access a 2-car garage. And then there's a single-story covered porch that extends across the rest of the front entry feature. If I can go to the next one, there's a variance request for a flankage yard. Again, due to the odd nature of the park lot, the blue line there that you see is their front lot line, which makes the extension of that up towards Holyrood an exterior lot line. Back beyond towards the lake, it becomes an interior. So the house complies everywhere from the blue line back, but that little portion in pink that you see does not comply with a 2.5 meter flankage. We have 1.2, and it's again just for that little pink portion. If I could go to the next slide. This is just minimum front or maximum front yard setback. Again, the existing house that has since been demolished was up at that front blue line. We are allowed by law to push it back to the second blue line. We're actually back further from the street, which sort of helps us align with the other homes that are on the opposite northern side of the park. And again, this is really due to that 5-meter angled conservation setback. We've sort of brought it as close as we can while still maintaining 5 meters for the overland flow that development engineering is looking for down towards the lake. If I could just get the next slide quickly. Again, this is a number of stories. The house is a 2-story as viewed from the streetscape. It is the basement on the front of the home. There is full basement sunk below the front entry grade. On the rear, given that the lot fully slopes, again, 4 meters difference from top to bottom. There's a little bit more of a visual story on the rear of the home, but again, the only way to see this is out in a boat or a paddleboard out on the lake. Transitions nicely to the park block as well. The house is has been stepped and articulated with single-story structures. That garage is a single-story element, and then as you get to the rear of the home, there's a single-story porch element. So it will relate quite nicely to the park block, and it's very well screened by existing vegetation and large trees. Next slide, please. This purple line here just helps to represent where the average grade on this property is. So again, those grade points around the perimeter of the structure averaged out with the length of wall that they're found upon. This establishes our height or our definition of story. So again, we're visually 2 stories from the street. By law classified as a 3rd story, thus the additional variances. With that, I did a circulation to many of the neighbors. I did see one of the neighbors has supplied some comments, I think relating towards the fact that the property is for sale. The property has been for sale for a long, long time. The client has a desire to build on this, but it has been a challenge to get the approvals. So if I can secure some approvals here, I think we'll see a build head forward quite quickly. Planning staff are in support. I have read the comments and I am in agreement with any of the recommendations. And I would open it up to any questions from the committee.
Okay, very well. Any questions, items of clarification from committee members? Mr. Dickey, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. You explained to me the garage situation. We didn't really get into the gross floor area situation, and I just looked at one of the sketches. So in the basement, it seems to say there's 517.64 square meters. The second floor has 467.84 square meters. The 3rd floor has 275.36 square meters. Just go back to the basement. Is that 517, like all of that? None of that is the garage. The garage would be would add more square meters to the situation, or has something been included relative to the garage?
It had the garage as a separate number. I believe there's a line item for that in the site stats. The area that is classified or shown as basement is the livable basement area. Again, if this were a flat lot situation, I would not have to include that basement. And in that scenario, my main floor and second floor, when added together, are comply with the bylaw requirements, are actually quite significantly under the bylaw requirements. So it's really the fact that I have to call my first story the basement. I am now including all 3 floor levels in that gross floor area total.
Okay, that explains it. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, Mr. Talowski, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a clarification for staff. Just, on condition number 1 that's recommended, am I reading it correctly that you're recommending that development proceed in accordance with 3 out of the 4 elevations and only the 4th elevation is to the satisfaction of the Director of Planning, or is it everything?
Madam Chair, so everything is to the satisfaction. I think it's because it had a separate date on one of the elevations. So it's just clarifying that there's 3 that have this date, an additional one that has a different date. So if you have recommendation for how to word it differently to clarify that, happy to have that implemented.
I just wanted to understand the intent, because usually it's in accordance with these data drawings or to the satisfaction of the director, not both.
Yeah, that's fair.
With these to the director's satisfaction seems to be a little redundant.
Yeah, that's fair. Through you, Madam Chair, in this scenario, we were based on some of the updates that might need to be made through the site plan process with development engineer to allow there to be a little bit of flexibility in that, but I can see how tying it to the date and to director's approval could be redundant. So I'll leave it in your hands on how you'd like to proceed with a condition if you were to propose to recommend its approval.
Thank you. It's helpful.
Okay. Any other questions or items of clarification? I see none. Okay. Who would like to move a motion? Go ahead, Mr. Hardcastle.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Having undertaken my site visit, having reviewed the materials, including the written staff report, having heard the presentation, and thank you for that. There was a significant amount of clarity in that. And having reviewed the drawings, I am satisfied that the requested variances conform to the four tests of the Act. Accordingly, I will put forward a motion for approval. That motion would be subject to two conditions, those being that the dwelling be constructed in general accordance with the submitted site plan, and north, east, and west elevations dated February 26, and the south elevation dated April 6, all to the satisfaction of the Director of Planning and Development, and that the approval will expire within 2 years of the date of the decision if a building permit has not been issued. Thank you.
Very well. Is there a discussion on this recommendation? See none. All those in support? Okay, the application has been approved. None opposed.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair, committee members. I appreciate it.
Have a good evening. Have a good evening. Okay, the last item on our agenda is application 016 of 2025, deferred from February the 19th of 2025 at 2019 Lakeshore Road East. Again, it's application 016 of 2025 at 2019 Lakeshore Road East. Go ahead, Mr. Van Kulen.
Chair, members of the committee, my name is Curtis Van Kulen. I'm here representing the owner of 2019 Lakeshore Road East, application number 16-2025. We've come back to you after discussion with town staff, and the main reason town staff objected to this was due to the amount of trees that may be under harm in our previous application. So if staff would like to go to page 2 of the presentation. So what we have done here is reduce the width of the overall dwelling to lessen the impact on the side yards, and that essentially eliminated one of the variances, which was a side yard variance. We pulled the house forward to get out of the way as much as possible of the large mature trees to the rear of the dwelling. And we've positioned the house accordingly so that we ensure we save those trees as much as we possibly can. In doing so, we've reduced some residential floor area. We've cut off a chunk of the rear yard covered porch, which reduced the coverage amount quite a bit from our last application. And then the only tricky point is because we shifted the house forward to avoid the trees and the impact on the trees, we decreased our front yard setback, and I'll get into that as we go on. If staff would go to page 8 of the presentation. Thank you. The main thing I wanted to address was the RFA and the lot coverage. Starting off with the variation of the front facade. Multiple materials and colors and finishes have been employed in the illustration that you see in front of you. We've pushed back the second floor over the garage about 2 meters. We've dropped the massing on the left-hand side, the west side of the dwelling, to be about 1.5 stories. So the 2-story spaces within the house is not allowed. It's actually 1.5 stories, so it's dropped down. We've recessed the front entrance and broken it up with some massing variations there. So overall, with the RFA, we've mitigated massing through a lot of integration of different facade depressions and extrusions with the overall design. And then if staff would go to the next page. Thank you. You can see on this, the figure 3 talks about the depression of the second floor and the garage, how it slightly protrudes. It pushes the second floor of the house away from the street, so it minimizes the impact of the second story on the actual street. The streetscape, as you can see in the figure 4 just below that, is comprised of a number of newer dwellings in the area, but directly next door there is an older bungalow. The line created by the 2 newer dwellings on the flankage or corner lots, we've slightly pushed the garage, the 1-story garage, close to that line. And then we figured that the massing really is kept back from the street by way of doing that. If staff would go to the next page. If you're driving west on Lakeshore, the fence of the corner lot just to the east of this property will obstruct a majority of the facade of the house until you're right in front of it, essentially. So the garage will not appear to stick out too much and jut out at you too much, because it will be blocked by the fence and the large mature trees on the property. And driving, if staff would go to the next page, driving down the other direction of Lakeshore, you can see the number of city trees that are actually aligned on the front of the property, which again shield from the massing of the home as it's positioned on the lot. Staff would go to the next page, number 12. So what we have done to mitigate the impact of the massing on the rear of the property, we've positioned the large covered porch in the middle of the dwelling, far away from the adjoining lots on either side. And we've even pushed in the walkout, the basement walkout, so that it would be away from the vegetation in that area. So overall, we've come back in front of you with a greatly reduced application by most accounts, and we've worked with town staff to get here, and we're very happy with the proposal that we have in front of you. And with that, I put it back to you for any questions.
Thank you. Any questions? Okay, I see none, and no one has called with interest for this application, Madam Secretary Treasurer.
Yes, Madam Chair, we do have somebody in the audience with their hand up, Mr. Jim Westlake. I will move him in.
Go ahead.
You can hear me?
Yes, now we can. Go ahead.
Okay. I hit the video. Yeah, I own the property that 100% of the backyard of this proposed house is on our backyard. And there's a couple of things. I mean, obviously, as a 2-story home, there will be much more visual access into our property than there has been for the 15 years that we have lived here. I think the thing when I read the documents is that it's a fairly small backyard right now, and it's moving back a further 10 feet, which will leave a very small amount of space between the back of the home and our property. And there's and it's got houses on both sides as well that I can't speak to. But it just seems to me it's a very large home on a relatively small piece of property and taking up a lot of space. In the application that I saw, it's going, wider, it's going deeper into the yard, and it is going further to the front. Further to the front, that's up to the town of Oakville, how close they want them to build to the sidewalk. But I think coming backwards, it certainly affects our property. And frankly, I think it affects two other properties on the cul-de-sac next to us. So those would be my comments.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Westlake. Has any of the committee members have any questions for Mr. Westlake at this point? Okay, I see none. Okay, go ahead, Mr. Van Kulen. You can address those comments.
Yes, through you, Madam Chair. The rear yard of the structure is proposed to be reduced only by a single-story covered porch. The covered porch would be about 12 inches off the ground for the concrete slab that you're walking on. And then above that would be the roof of the covered porch. So that is and it is only held up by two columns. So that is the mass that would be protruding into the required rear yard. It is lower than the row of cedars that align the rear of the property. So visually, the massing of that covered porch would be next to nothing on the neighboring property to the rear. The house itself is positioned within the setbacks of the rear yard, so we're not asking for any variances for the two-story dwelling itself. We're only coming in front of you today for the covered porch to the rear.
Okay. We hope that answers your questions, Mr. Westlake.
Yeah, I disagree with the comment about the cedars providing a lot of cover. Those are pretty much dying right now. So as a lot in the area are, I've installed fencing, which covers it quite nicely to provide for both homes, some cover. But I think this will probably change that. And I'm just not sure why it has to be backed up that close to the lot line.
Well, what I can tell you is that they're not asking for any variances, so they're within their rights in terms of where they are for their back lot line is the answer to your question.
I thought in the proposal I read, it said to reduce the minimum rear yard to 8.08 meters from 10.5 meters.
That's only for that portion, correct, Mr. Van Kulen, of the actual sorry, it's called the
Yes,
I've lost
sorry.
the word.
It's a rear covered porch.
Yeah, it's just for that porch area for their backyard. So it's just a small area where they're going back, but they have the entire space open. So it's not like the entire house is moving that distance. It's just that small. I don't know how big is the porch? Is that backyard porch?
I could tell you, Madam Chair, if you bear with. Oh no, the floor plans are not available on the. That it's approximately 16 feet wide, Madam Chair.
So all I'm reading is it says that the current minimum rear yard shall be 10.5 meters. And the proposed is to reduce the minimum rear yard to 8.08 meters.
Yeah,
it doesn't say whether that's porches or whether it's the house or whether it's anything else. That's all I can do is read the document.
That's our job. Those variances are our job. So basically, if there is a variance for this, it'll be according to the drawings that were set before us, and they cannot build the entire house just because they want to or because the wording is not specific to that. Right. And they have building permits and inspectors that will be out there. So you have nothing to worry about. It's just for that portion that is their porch. And I took more time to actually make sure you understood that so that you feel comfortable. So we'll take the matter into committee now. And Mr. Van Keulen, do you have anything further to add before?
I do not. Thank you very much.
Members, we'll take the matter into committee, and who would like to start the discussion? Go ahead, Mr. Talowski.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, I'm prepared to move this application be approved as applied for, finding that it meets the tests of the Planning Act. I acknowledge the concerns raised by the neighbor with respect to the rear yard variance, but I'm satisfied, as was explained by Mr. Van Keulen, that the house itself does not require a rear yard variance. It will comply with the required setback. It's only a portion of the covered porch, and if Mr. Van Keulen's correct, if it's only 12 inches off the ground, if you took the roof off that covered porch, it wouldn't even require a variance. So hopefully that satisfies the neighbor that it's not the house that's being brought to 8 meters as opposed to the 10.5, I believe, is required. It's only, the variance there is only for the covered porch. With that, Madam Chair, I move approval subject to the dwelling being constructed in general accordance with the submitted updated site plan and elevation drawings dated November 28th, 2024, and that the approval expires within 2 years if a building permit hasn't been issued.
Very well. Thank you, Mr. Talowski. Is there discussion on this recommendation? Okay, I see none. All those in support? Okay, the application has been approved, none opposed.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. Have a good evening.
Next item on our agenda is confirmations of meetings for April 16th. Who would like to move a motion for that meeting? Thank you, Mr. Hardcastle. And motion of adjournment. Mr. Hardcastle. We are adjourned at 8:41 p.m.